What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Timeless Season 1, Episode 14, The Lost Generation. So, like I said in the last episode, I wasn't really sure what to expect after everything that happened with Wyatt, and ultimately what I got was pretty interesting. First of all, we see Wyatt gets locked away in this, I guess, CIA prison. I guess, I don't know what it is exactly, but he gets locked away so they can question him to try and force a confession out of him. Um, and on top of that, Agent Christopher gets kicked out of the Mason Industries lab and gets replaced by the NSA, which of course we all know is actually Rittenhouse. And they find out at the end of the episode, sure enough, it is Rittenhouse. So all of this is going on. The team goes on a mission to, when was it? It was around the time of Charles Lindbergh, and I can't remember what the date is exactly, but they go to when Charles Lindbergh was supposed to land. He ends up crashing, and Flynn takes him hostage and tries to keep him from going out and spouting all of this crazy stuff that apparently helps Rittenhouse's cause. So all of that's going on. Lucy and Rufus end up with the guy. Like I thought that's what they were gonna do. They bring in the guy that was gonna replace Wyatt at first. They bring him in, and I thought for sure that it was gonna end up being like he was secretly Rittenhouse or something like that. But ultimately, he gets killed by one of Flynn's guys. I'm just like, oh, okay, so that was unexpected. So that, yeah, that happened, and then at that point, it's kind of like Rufus and Lucy now have to figure their way out of this situation on their own without the help of a Wyatt-like character, which Ernest Hemingway actually kind of takes up the mantle as the Wyatt-like character. But it was interesting seeing them have to team up with Ernest Hemingway. Seeing him sort of inspire Rufus to keep going, even though Rufus wanted to stop and he was too scared to do it. So this is all like it's just a good setup for it. It's interesting. It's fun to watch. We see Flynn. He's got this guy kidnapped. Eventually, he gets Lucy kidnapped as well, and then he tries to use Lucy to get the information about a Rittenhouse person, who I guess was like the head of Rittenhouse at the time. So we're going through all of this. We're seeing this, and I'm just like, where's this all leading to? And ultimately, it leads to nothing. And that's it's not a bad thing, like there have been times in other shows where something's going on, story's going on, and it leads to nothing, and it's just like, well, what was all that for? But because it's a show about time travel, and we're watching all this go on in the past, we're watching what Lucy and Rufus are going through, we're watching Flynn's plan as he's trying to stop Rittenhouse from being created. We're watching this all go on, and they get back to the present, and everything's the same. Everything. Like nothing has changed. Lindbergh still went and wrote all those crazy stuff that I guess helped inspire Rittenhouse's cause. And so it's just kind of like, well, why? And ultimately, we don't even see what Flynn does. Like we see him show up at the house of the Rittenhouse guy, and he's like, "I have a lot of questions for you," and then we don't see him again. So you're kind of like, well, what did he do? Did he kill the guy? And if he did, does that mean Rittenhouse still was created even without that guy? Like, I don't know. It's just so interesting because we see what happens in the past. We see the changes that happen. And so we have to wonder, okay, so what are they coming back to? What's changed? We come back and nothing has changed. It's just like, holy crap. And I love the line whenever Wyatt's talking to Agent Christopher, and he's like, I have to deal with the fact that either Flynn lied to me about who killed my wife, or maybe fate just wants her to be dead. And that's kind of the big question through all of this. Is this all just, this is supposed to happen? Rittenhouse is supposed to be created. Nothing that Flynn does can save his family. Because Rittenhouse is always going to be created. There's always going to be somebody that steps into their place and says, we want to take over for Rittenhouse. We want to continue these ideals for Rittenhouse. It feels like that's the case. I don't know. I feel like at some point you just kind of there's going to be a point where somebody had the original idea to start Rittenhouse. They had this idea of we need some sort of organization in the background to like keep tabs on everybody, to keep an eye on everything, to keep things smoothly rolling in our fashion. And so you feel like that's what they're setting up to. And so I'm just wondering, what historical figure are we going to find out is the one behind Rittenhouse? Who's the one that said, I want this to be put in place? I want some sort of organization to be put in place that's going to keep everybody in line. And I don't know, maybe they'll have to travel back to like Renaissance Europe or something like that. I don't know. It's just so interesting to see that things are just. It feels like they can't fix anything. It feels like they're trying their hardest to fix things, but it's not happening. Nothing is working out for them. Things just continue to go from bad to worse. Now they have the NSA and Rittenhouse agents like keeping tabs on everything that they're doing. Like they've officially taken over the lab and the lifeboat, and so now it's like they're officially having to work for Rittenhouse. At first it was like, oh, Rittenhouse is pulling the strings, and now it's like Rittenhouse has just stepped in and taken over and said, we're in charge now. We're controlling every aspect of this, and it kind of sucks from that standpoint. Like now the team has to do this stuff, or else. Like kind of ominous threat just thrown out there. But I don't know. It's a good setup for everything. I like all of the story in the season, and I think there may only be 2 episodes left. I looked, and it says like there are only 16. Maybe they'll add more as we go along, but I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm curious to see how much longer this first season will last, and I'm also curious to see what's going to happen at the end of the season. Are they going to be able to stop Rittenhouse, or is it going to be one of those things where Flynn is the antagonist for this season? They stop him. Now next season is more about stopping Rittenhouse because, as we see, Flynn is still kind of crazy. And it's kind of curious to me that Flynn is so adamant that he and Lucy will work together, and yet he continues to push her away by doing things like what he did in this episode, using her to get the information about the guy he has to go kill. It's like, you realize she's never going to help you if you keep doing this, because she doesn't like the killing. She doesn't like all of that stuff. But, it's just it's an interesting relationship they have, just the back and forth between them. I don't know, it's fun to watch. It's a lot of fun to watch these characters interact, to watch them figure out what to do next. Whenever they're up against, when they're in between a rock and a hard place, what are they going to do? Who's going to be the one to step up and say, okay, we need to keep going? In this episode, Ernest Hemingway stepped up and did it for Rufus. Agent Christopher stepped up and did it for Wyatt. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, at the end, we have they get questioned by the NSA guy, and it's just a lot of questions. It's just, okay, so tell me about this. Tell me about this. Well, I think we met 17. Is it maybe 17? Oh, definitely 17. Like it's very. They want it to be precise. They want it to be in order, which is pretty much what Rittenhouse is. They don't want maybes or possiblies. So, yeah. That's interesting. Wyatt escapes from the prison, so now they've got the team back, kind of. Obviously, he can't just go in there and be like, okay, I'm back on the team, everybody. So I'm wondering how they're going to handle that. If it's going to be one of those things where they have to secretly get him in, or maybe he'll go and find Flynn or something and start using him to get back in time. I don't know what the plan is there, but I'm very curious to see what they're going to do next episode. What's going to be the main, I guess, plan to make sure the team all gets back, make sure Wyatt is there to help them. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Really enjoying it. Coming close probably to the end of the first season, but I'm really looking forward to see how they're going to end it all. So, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What did you like and dislike about this episode? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future timeless reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.